Sal Paolantonio. It's a Sal Pal Friday, the NFL Draft Night 1 in the books. Taking a look back at what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and reaction as ESPN's senior national correspondent, Sal Paolantonio, joins me now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. The Eagles go from 6 to 12 to 10. They end up with the Heisman Trophy winner, Devonta Smith, Sal. So, a lot of mixed reaction going on here. A lot of people wanted him to stay at 6. I think you were in that camp. Then they were at 12. Then they moved to 10. They took Smith here. So, how do we help us react to how we should feel about what this team did over the last couple of hours?
Well, Michael, as you very well know, I predicted that they would take Devonta Smith on your show. I think it was right after I did it on the mock draft on KJZ, the national radio show on ESPN. And you and I talked about it. I knew they were focused on Devonta Smith. I wasn't. That's not my opinion. That was my reporting. I thought they should have taken a corner. But once those two corners were off the board, J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain, both the Cowboys and the Eagles then were out of luck because I think they were both targeting cornerback at the 10th and the 12th picks. And once that happened, it was pretty clear then that the Eagles had to get up the top to the 10th spot in order to take Smith because the Giants were going to take him at 11. So as it transpires, and I was reporting this yesterday on SportsCenter, Howie Roseman was having exploratory conversations, multiple, with different teams on how to jump into the top 10 if this scenario played out. And it did. It did basically because no one really expected the Broncos to take a corner, but they did. And J.C. Horn went a lot earlier than people anticipated. So they had to give up a third-round pick in order to get to the 10th spot because the Cowboys do not need a wide receiver. And I, for one, am against trading with the Cowboys. I don't like the idea of giving the Cowboys a third-round pick, especially for what I view as a luxury item. Devonta Smith is sort of like Jalen Reagor. Obviously, Reagor did not win the Heisman Trophy. Smith was a lot more productive in the college game, but they are basically the same player. They get their separation on the stem of the route. You have to scheme and find ways to find mismatches and get them off the line of scrimmage. I know Nick Sirianni talked yesterday at length about the fact that Smith wins a lot of one-on-ones, but, that's SEC, and I am concerned about his ability to win press man coverage. Be that as it may.
Yeah.
Michael, I just don't like giving a third-round pick to the Cowboys. I just don't. I don't like helping the Cowboys in any way, shape, or form. I don't like the Cowboys are going to be the team that everybody predicts wins the division this year. So why are you helping them? I just don't get it.
Yeah, that's where I'm torn. I like Smith. But I said all week here, Sal, that if I'm Howie Roseman, I am calling Chicago. And I am saying, I'll take a first-round pick, and I'll go to 20. Give me a first-round pick next year, and I'll move to 20. That was the move for me. So I was intrigued by what the Giants did, but I wonder if Philly could have done the same thing.
Well, and here's the thing. Okay, so if the Eagles don't move up, then the Cowboys at 10 probably take Parsons right then and there, right?
Yep.
Okay, we agree on that. Then the Giants at 11
take Smith.
And now the Eagles get a call from Chicago because they think that the Patriots will be in the market for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And they say, well, we want to get Justin Fields before Bill Belichick gets him. So then the Eagles are on the phone with Chicago at 12. And Chicago and the Eagles flip. And the Eagles, they might get a first-round pick out of Chicago for the deal. And now they move down to 20. And at 20, they can pick a lot of different players, but I think the player to take at 20 would be the one that the Colts took in Kwity Paye. I think Kwity Paye is the next Brandon Graham, and maybe even better, he's bigger than Graham. He's taller than Graham. He's got longer arms than Graham. Graham obviously was a great, great pick, made the best play in Super Bowl history for the Eagles. Besides Philly Special, of course.
I think there was a book written about that.
I think so. Somebody wrote it. But Kwity Paye would have been great at 20, and you would have got a pass rusher, and you would have got a lot of extra picks.
Yeah, you and I are in the same boat there. The going back to 20, and the same guy. I said you get 20, you stick to your roots. You said it last week on the show. They don't want to take shortcuts because they think they can compete. You move back to 20, and you stick to your roots and take Kwity Paye. That almost was the blueprint that we mapped out last Friday. I guess they had Smith, and I guess maybe you can speak to this a little bit more, is they must have had Smith ranked considerably higher than almost anybody else in that spot.
I don't know if they did or not. It's tough. They say they did, but I'm not privy to their draft board. I don't know any reporter that didn't. Let's explore why Devonta Smith. I think once he moved to 12, he had FOMO, fear of missing out. That he would have been stuck at 12, and then everybody would have said, well, Howie, you went down too far. And you missed out on a top 10 player. And, we got Kwity Paye, and it's the same old Philadelphia Eagles. The other thing, too, it's sort of a do-over pick, right, Mike? Because last year they took Jalen Hurts. That angered Carson Wentz. This year they take a player that played with Jalen Hurts in college, makes him happy. He's reunited with Devonta Smith. It's a do-over pick in that respect. It's also a do-over pick because they missed out on Justin Jefferson last year. We can all agree that Jefferson would have been a better pick than Rager. And so it's a do-over pick to take Smith from a locker room standpoint and from a football standpoint. Would I rather have Smith than Rager? Yes, 100%. Not even close. Even though Smith is smaller than Rager.
Yeah.
Smith's a better player.
Yeah. The interesting thing here, I feel, and we might have talked.
Do you buy that it was a do-over pick in the sense of the quarterback situation? I do.
Well, I think this is interesting because there was so much talk, Sal, about they didn't do anything to help Wentz. Now they're almost going out of their way to say, hey, we want to help this kid Hurts. We want you to succeed. Here you go. Here's your friend from college.
Yeah, and guess what? It was, put out there that Jeff Lurie said to the team, we are going to build around Jalen Hurts. That's going to be the theme.
Yep.
That's going to be the goal. That's going to be the purpose for everything that we do in free agency and in the draft. And they went out and they did it. So they're true to what they said they were going to do. And but if you want to walk the cat back or turn the clock back, what they should have done is picked Metcalf, Jefferson, and helped Wentz, and the team wouldn't have imploded, and they wouldn't have went 4-11, and blah, 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 blah.
Right. Now, there's a lot of hindsight in that one. But here's something interesting. I don't know that we brought this up last week or not, but, again, this goes back to, I feel, and see what you think, that the front office feels that the Peterson regime did not do a good job with the talent they were given, specifically the wide receivers that were drafted the last 2 years, and said this regime will get more out of these guys, and we're going to give them a number one weapon.
Okay, sure. I feel that's partially true in the comments that they've made.
Yeah.
But, let's go back. This is such an underreported aspect of what was said. If you go back to the press conference that Howie Roseman had on April 21st, okay? That's just a week
2 Wednesdays
before
ago.
The draft.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. Howie Roseman said the following about drafting wide receivers. And you can probably play this cut because it was on Zoom and remind everybody. I'm looking it up, and here's what he said. I'll talk a little bit about wide receivers. This is a direct quote. The wide receiver transition in the National Football League has historically been tough. Over the last couple of years, the hit rates have been a little bit more improved, and that's because when you're talking about the kind of coverages they're facing in college football, it's different than what's going on in the NFL. There may be a matchup in college football where the fourth corner, who is never going to have an opportunity to play in the National Football League, is guarding them in college, because that's the kind of matchup where here the third and fourth corners are really good players. So, and it bears out in the statistics when you look at it, and in the fact that wide receivers have the most difficult transition to the National Football League. It's the lowest rate of any position that is drafted. Only 27% of the wide receivers that are drafted get a second contract from their team. That's the lowest percentage of any position that is drafted in the National Football League. Centers are 100%, offensive tackles 60%, linebackers 55%, guards 46%, and then at the bottom is corner at 35%, defensive tackle at 35%, wide receivers 27%. This was put together by Elias, and it's determined by whether or not the player signed a second contract with his draft team. It's very difficult to hit on a wide receiver. Roseman knew that, said it publicly, and for 2 straight years, they basically have drafted the same kind of wide receiver. I just don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, and, well, you could just look to last year where we heard Ruggs, Judy, CeeDee Lamb, all these guys. And really, I mean, Jefferson was the only one of that group that really – I mean, Lamb was having a nice year until Prescott got hurt, but Jefferson was the one. The next best receiver was drafted in the second round. That was T. Higgins. Judy and Ruggs really kind of struggled in their first year. So, yeah, it's hard to get these guys. I thought it was interesting, Sal, the fact that Dallas and Philly, I mean, it was one of the things I said you didn't think was going to – were you surprised that those two teams decided to talk and make a deal?
Well, I think it was born out of desperation. I want to go back to what I said. I think it was born out of desperation. Here you had these two corners that were gone. I mean, of all the mock drafts that I saw and that you saw, did either one of us see a mock draft where both of the corners were off the board by the time the Cowboys picked at 10?
Right. No, I did not see that scenario. No, I think most people were shocked when Carolina went 8 and took Patrick Surtain. I think that's when the whole thing got flipped on its head. And then Denver's up and Fields is on the board and Horn went to 8 and Surtain goes 9. That flipped the whole thing on its head.
No, there's no question. And then it was born out of desperation.
When they traded up to 10, Sal, when they traded to 10, what did you think it was for Smith? I said to myself, my God, they're going to take Fields.
Oh no, I never thought that.
Okay. You thought Smith?
I never thought that.
You thought Smith?
I thought they were focused on Smith from the get-go. If they couldn't get a corner, and even if they could, I think they were focused on Smith to try to make Jalen Hurts happy in a way that is completely opposite to what they did to Carson Wentz last year.
Yeah.
I think they have come to the conclusion that the drafting of Jalen Hurts did more to undermine the team, cause a team implosion, than anything that they did in the last 2 years.
Well, if there's one positive to take from this, Sal, and it's a Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash with ESPN senior national correspondent Sal Paolantonio. The last time Roseman got thrown to the broom closet, he came out, as Jason Kelsey said, a better man. He learned from those mistakes. Well, maybe they've learned from the mistakes that they made with Wentz and finally acquiesced to get their new quarterback the weapons they refused to get the previous guy.
You know what bothered me about Kelsey's remarks? Do you know who gets thrown into the broom closet with Howie Roseman? The fans do. When those kinds of mistakes are made institutionally by an organization like a sports team that's a monopoly and is using other people's money to run their business, other people meaning the fans of the team.
Yeah.
The fans are the ones that suffer. The fans they're the ones that are using their hard-earned money, the UPS drivers, the firefighters, the nurses, the teachers, all those people who buy tickets to the games, buy their sons and daughters jerseys, pay for parking, pay astronomical amounts for food at the game, and support the team, win or lose. They're the ones that suffer when these kinds of major mistakes are made over and over and over again by the people in charge.
Well, let's just hope that they finally got one right here, specifically at a position that they've been often so wrong. He is ESPN Sal Paolantonio on a Sal Pal Friday. Thanks to our guys, Johnny G, the Burger Realty team in Ocean City. And now, man, May is here. We got beautiful weather coming up, and the NFL next season is here because the draft finishes, and now the training camps. We're going to be getting kickoff here shortly, Sal.
Oh, man. I want to enjoy the summer first, brother.
All right, man. We'll see you down the shore.
Yes, sir.
All right, Sal Paolantonio, ESPN Senior National Correspondent here on a Sal Pal Friday.